Welcome back to the Manor. Julien McBain here, and today we are just doing some low-key Panleon hunting. I've been doing a lot of swunting lately, as you can tell by my large amounts of sweat and low amount of inventory. But I'm enjoying the less stressful, just kind of hanging out and doing the light grind thing. And I think that I honestly think that the further up the chain that you get in this game, the more you forget that sometimes just doing low-level shit is a lot of fun. You know? You don't have to go through a shitload of ped cycling in order to have fun in this game. And this is something that I have often struggled with because I like the whole high challenge thing. But at the same time, sometimes you just kind of want to come in and shoot some things and be done with it. And that's it. And with sweating, I'm grinding up a lot of other skills like my evade and my concentration. And frankly, it's a free thing you can do. I mean, it's not totally free because I'm swunting, so I'm shooting the mob afterward. But it makes it more cost efficient. And I think I might be doing a little better than breaking even all told once that's all said and done. Sweat market's still kind of touch and go. But I believe that with the changes like on Ancient Greece, I think has use for sweat now. You need sweat for the Arcadia markets. There's definitely more of a market for sweat now than there was in years past. And I think that's beautiful. It really helps out the free-to-players. And then people like me who are just trying to limit the amount of depositing we're doing due to life changes and things like that, which, I've had several this year, so I haven't been able to play as aggressively as I did last year. I've still played fairly aggressively, but not as aggressively as last year. It makes things easier on all of us. So there's several things I want to go through tonight, but before we get started, if you're new to the channel, welcome to the Manor. Please take a moment and subscribe down below. We are on the road to 13 million subscribers, one subscription at a time, so make sure you subscribe. Also, please consider going to patreon.com/JulienMcBain if you want to support my work. If you do, you'll get copies of the Modern Entropian, of which I have done an entire series of videos on, and Personal Finance for Gamers, which I have also done an entire series of videos on for your trouble. I really appreciate all of the support. But of course, the best thing you can do is please consider subscribing. It really helps my channel grow. So let's get into what I really want to talk about tonight. This is basically, I think I do this like once a quarter. It's a channel update. As you know, things have changed a little bit. 2020 has been a hellscape. More of a hellscape than Twitter is on a good day. So I've had to go through a lot of my life. I have changed a lot of my regular habits. Partly because of work, partly because of home. I'm just going to go through some of those things so that you understand why the changes happened. I know, for instance, I stopped doing my Let's Play videos. I'm still doing the live stream, but I've stopped doing the regular Let's Play videos. Trying to take the time out, it took up so much extra. And it sounds like you'd think that, an extra hour of production of actual video recording per week isn't very much, but realistically, there's a lot of production that goes into that. You're talking about an extra hour of production for every hour of video that's produced. And so there is a lot that goes into it, and you have to be able to do that. And with this summer, where I spend most of my summer splitting wood all weekend long. For those of you who have never split wood, that is really tiring work. And so I just didn't have the energy. And that's the God's honest truth of it. And it is what it is. I pared back my schedule. It actually, ironically, helped my algorithm. My subscribers went up faster without doing the Let's Plays than it did with doing the Let's Plays. But as is the case, that was the situation. That being said, I also eliminated the McBain moments. I had planned on doing a wind down of it, but I just ended up cold stopping it. I didn't have any material left. I was repeating myself. Something I've been accused of doing in Entropia universe, which is true to a certain extent. I do a lot of review. That is kind of something that a lot of Entropia universe content creators do. is we do tend to be a bit repetitious. It's part of being an Entropia universe content creator, unfortunately. Sometimes that's just the way things go. Things change. We have to review them, compare to the past, and see how they fit in with a more modern bend. But I think overall, we do what we can and we try our best, and that's how we're doing things. So what's the plan for the future? Well, that's a great question. Not 100% sure. See, one of the reasons that I'm putting this video out so late is I'm actually recording it on Wednesday when I normally do it on Mondays. This Monday wouldn't have worked out anyway. I would have had to record it at some other point or late at night because it was a lodge meeting night. And although we're not meeting in person, thank you, Rona, we still had our virtual meeting. And so that took up a good chunk of my evening on Monday. No matter what, I will continue to do those things that I do extracurricular. I think it's very important for me to do them for work-life balance. Although work-life balance is not something I really believe in, I have found that having that fellowship really helps, especially in a time like right now where we can't really talk to folks. We can call each other on the phone. Zoom meetings have become really popular, but I do miss the days. Like I held a whole summer, my first summer in 8 years, where I did not go camping once and sword fighting. Like my last event, I have been to one fencing event all year, and it was in January. And that was it. That was the whole thing. I went to 2 other events that were not fighting events to support some friends, and that was it. That was the whole year for me. I haven't done a single event since March, for obvious reasons. This makes things tough. And I know that you're all in the same situation. You all have things that you enjoy doing that you have not been able to do. I'm not saying this to whine. But it has caused me to restructure how I think about my life. And then I ran for the 2020, for a Senate seat in the 2020 Vermont state elections, which I, of course, did not manage to secure. I did get 3% of the vote in a year where I was not able to campaign at all. So I am going to talk about that experience a little bit. I'm not going to get too much into the whole platforms and crap like that. If you want to do that, you can look me up on Facebook, which you're going to have to know my real name to do that. So it's Paul Valorant for Senate. That's my Facebook Senate page. If you ever wonder where I stand politically, it's all right there. It's also all over Twitter, at Julien McBain. But I ran. It was a great experience. I was on the Aired Out podcast several times to talk about things. You can find that at Aired Out on Facebook. My buddy JD Green is the one who runs that podcast. And he does a really good job. He's a professional interviewer. He's been doing radio for 30 years. Just an amazing person. Great personality. And then, of course, we did the election night stuff on the 3rd. That was a lot of fun. I had one of my another person competing for a Senate seat in my county was on that show with me, and we discussed some stuff. And so that was all very good. So here's what my plans are for the future coming up. I know I had done one of these a little while ago, and that it didn't really fit very well with what I was thinking. I have yet to figure out exactly what I want to do with the Entropia universe space. So until I come up with a set of topics, I'm going to go back to doing more free-form discussion on random shit, much like I did on my vlog once upon a time and with my early content. I've gone through all the important EU stuff, tutorials. You can find those videos. They're all in different playlists that are easy to find, so I don't see the need to do reproduction on those videos unless something material changes, which if something material changes, I absolutely will. And I'll still produce content on like releases. So like when 16.2 or 16.3, I don't even know what release we're on right now. I think we're actually on version update 17 for the current iteration. I'll absolutely do reviews of those and look through all the stuff that they're doing. As things update, I will absolutely review all of that. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to return to the more vlog format, or that's basically it, vlog format type of stuff where I talk about philosophical topics and things that interest me, and things that interest you. If you find something interesting, that would be great. I would love to hear it. I am considering doing more live streaming. Trying to figure out how to schedule that, of course, is going to be tricky. I'm still a father. I still have a son to take care of. And maneuvering around 2 nights a week has been interesting, but rewarding. He's now old enough to where I can do that. He's actually very excited because he's almost a teenager. And pretty soon, he'll have his own YouTube channel, which I am sure I will have to plug in every single video I do because I'm his dad and I'm very proud of him. And yes, I will be plugging that channel for those people who are interested in that type of content. It's mostly going to be Minecraft, I'm sure. And I actually mean that. It came off a little dry. That came off a lot drier than I intended it to. But, you know, what does every 13-year-old do as soon as they turn 13? They start a YouTube channel. So, yeah, we've got that going on. I am talking to JD, and we're discussing the possibility of me starting a traditional podcast, like a good old-fashioned. He recommended doing interviews. I'm not much of an interviewer. I'm not, but I can do monologues, which is obviously I can do monologues because I monologue on here all the time. I'm surprised you all watch me. But a more traditional, like face cam produced podcast. And that one will be political. It will be on a different channel if I do it that way. Because this last run has taught me that I need to pay more attention and do more. And while I do think that the campaign itself, while I didn't secure the seat, the campaign itself was successful insofar that I learned a lot, I understand more, and I have a better grasp on what's going on around me. And so I will continue to work toward that in the future. And so I need Vermonters to know what I'm about. And so I am strongly considering starting that podcast. If that will be a separate channel, though, because I try to keep this channel as politics-free as humanly possible. Now, obviously, that's not 100% always the case, but I've even told people to stop commenting on specific political issues in chat. And that will continue to be the case as much as possible. So my Entropia universe will be going back toward a more non-political podcasting format. The live streams, I'm doing Fallout New Vegas. And then once Fallout New Vegas is over, which I still have, I'll probably be doing Fallout New Vegas for at least the rest of this year and into next year easily, because it's a long-ass game. Especially with all the DLC, you know? And I'm remembering parts like the Big Empty where the spawn rates kind of suck. That was yesterday's big bitch, is that I kept running into an event trigger that caused mobs to spawn. And I actually watched them spawn. Like, you know you're hitting a trigger when you watch them spawn out of thin air. And Bethesda's usually really good about not having them do that. They want them to be like running in off screen, but I happen to be turned the right direction. And it's like, boop, there he was. Just like he had beamed down in Star Trek, or actually it would be more like blinking in from Charmed. There's an old reference for you. Just bloop. I'm like, oh, we're doing this now. This is a thing. So that is on the docket. I am doing recordings of Deathwing Space Hulk. I have not worked on that in several weeks. I will not release that series unless I finish it. I've got a couple I've done this with where I have I have started a series and I don't want to cut it off. So I said, well, I'm not sure I'm going to finish this. So I'm going to do the recordings and it'll all be pre-recorded. And if I do finish it, I'll just serialize it and release it over time. Obviously, I have not been doing that as regularly as I had originally planned. Life kind of got in the way. So that is that. So yeah, that is the plan so far. Things are developing. I am going to try to continue to provide entertaining content for you to listen to. I do have a theme for the more political podcast. It will be talking about things that are important to me in politics, of course. It won't be one of these news sites where I read off news and do political commentary. That's not my plan. That doesn't mean it's not going to happen eventually, but it's not the plan for the beginning of it. Because there's already plenty of other places that do that. Do we really need another person doing that? Not really. Or if I do, it'll all be local Vermont, so I know that won't be of interest to a lot of people who watch this channel. But I do know that the catchphrase for it is going to be, we are navigating the cyberpunk dystopia. Because I've said it before, and this is one of my more open political takes. I believe we're living in the cyberpunk dystopia. It's obvious to me now that we are. To what extent that is the case is still up for grabs. I do think it's the most boring dystopia we could have wound up with. I mean, seriously. You'd have thought, with all the shit that we have today, right? We couldn't have had some of the more cool stuff, you know? I want the implants, for Christ's sake. I want the cyber eye and, you know, the hair that changes colors. Not me personally for that one, but I do have friends that do like that, and I think they would look good with it. You know, I want a servo arm pack, like in fucking Warhammer, okay? You know, you walk down and you've got neon lights everywhere, and fog is rolling through the cities, and there's hover cars, you know? That was the cyberpunk dystopia that Shadowrun promised me. What do we get? We get Facebook and Twitter basically controlling the discourse and the conversation, and a bunch of Microsoft and Google controlling what we look at and buy, and Amazon deciding where we shop. Pretty much all on Amazon. It's very unique. So that will be the theme of that. So that's my political hot take of the day, and that's about as far as I'll go with that. But that is going to be the theme of the podcast as we're navigating the cyberpunk dystopia, and I'll be talking about other things on there, like the U.S. federal system and how it actually is supposed to work. The way the design was meant to be. Some history is going to be on there, because you can't really understand politics without history to be attached to it. So yeah, that'll all be good, and that will be a separate channel. I will announce that channel when that channel is going, assuming everything pans out. And if you like it, I hope you go over and subscribe, and if you don't like it, hopefully I don't lose too many subscribers, because I've come to the point in my life where I've realized that not engaging in the conversation has not served me. And being afraid to express myself is counterproductive. That being said, I still feel that there should be spaces that are free from that type of discourse, because unfortunately it has pervaded our lives. And so I will separate that onto a different channel. And I don't know if I'll be gaming while I do it. I'm strongly considering it, because gaming is what I do. Gaming is what I do, and I make no bones about it. And because of that, maybe I'll have like a split screen where it'll be me on one side staring at a camera and Entropia of a Universe playing on the other, because, you know, that would be the best game for me to play on such a thing. I don't have to worry about trying to bullseye a lobotomite off in the distance there. So that actually wouldn't be a bad idea. That might happen. That might happen. Just like that. Holy shit. I like that idea. I like that idea a lot. I will have to think about that. So yeah. That might, yeah. Yeah. I was trying to figure out why I wasn't coming up with anything good, and I think that was the reason. This is why I monologue. This is how I think, right? I'm a verbal processor. You know, you can ask my friend Kat. Talk to her and her husband, Kenrick, all the time. Not as much as I'd like to now, because, you know, Rona, but I do talk to them a lot. And sometimes I'll cycle through things a couple times because I verbally process. And I think that's something I've been missing. is I haven't been able to come on here and monologue and verbally process and listen to your comments. So that, I think, is going to be the case. I'm liking where this is going. So I think what's going to happen is we're going to see a hybrid experience on that podcast, and then you're going to get the non-political commentary on this channel, which is the way I know that a lot of you like it. So, okay. I think I've blathered enough. We're going to waste this Panleon, collect the loots, and back the fuck off. Oh, yeah. And don't worry. All of my channels will always be rated SC for some cussing. Stole that from Rusty DeWeese. Go visit the Logger. He's a Vermont comedian. For those of you who are not familiar with him, it's very... Okay, so Russ is a woodchuck. Woodchuck is a Vermont hillbilly. You can look him up as the Logger. I'm going to see if I can't get his... Okay, thelogger.com. Go to thelogger.com. You can see some of his videos on YouTube. It looks like Mount Mansfield Media runs some of his videos. Funny guy, but he's a Vermont redneck. Oh, no, I shouldn't say but. And he's a Vermont redneck. He's very much the Vermont hillbilly. So go check him out as well. Guys, I need to stipulate, I am not sponsored by any of the people I've spoken about on here. They're just people I enjoy talking about and whose content I enjoy watching. So none of these were sponsored spots. In the meantime, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe down below. We are on the road to 13 million subscribers, one subscription at a time. So make sure you subscribe. And as always, I really appreciate all of your support. We'll see you in the next one.